Avoid these 6 mistakes. Women will never see you Stoicism. Now, before you click away thinking this is going to be some boring lecture about philosophy, hear me out. We're going to break down 6 Stoic principles that can seriously level up your relationships, especially with women. The video touched on this, and it's gold. It's not about being some heartless robot, but about being a grounded, self-respecting dude who knows his worth. It's a long trip, but I promise to try and make it as engaging as possible. The original video kind of hinted at the trap a lot of guys fall into, bending over backwards, changing who you are just to please a woman. We've all been there, right? Thinking that's the key to a happy relationship. But Stoicism flips that whole script. It's about understanding how to care for someone in a way that's healthy for both of you. Think respecting boundaries, not losing yourself, and building something real. We're talking about the kind of guy that knows he's got value to bring to the table and isn't afraid to walk away from something that isn't working. It's about being in control of your own life. So, ditch the people-pleasing and let's get into these Stoic principles. We're going to unpack them, add some real-life examples, and figure out how to apply them to modern dating and relationships. Trust me, this is way more practical than it sounds. By the end of this, you'll have a solid framework for building stronger, healthier, and more fulfilling connections, without sacrificing your own happiness in the process. Get comfy, grab a drink, and let's do this thing. Principle number 1, your personal freedom. Don't give it away for approval. Okay, first up, sacrificing your personal freedom. The video hit the nail on the head with this one. How many times have you canceled plans you were actually excited about, just because she hinted she wanted to do something else? Or maybe you've toned down your interests, stopped hanging out with certain friends, all because of her. The video correctly identifies that this may feel like love, but is it really? Stoicism screams no on this one. Your freedom, your autonomy, is priceless. It's the core of who you are. When you trade that for someone else's approval, you're not just losing a piece of yourself, you're setting a dangerous precedent for the relationship. The video mentioned integrity being a priceless possession, and it is. Think about it. If you start changing everything about yourself to fit someone else's mold, what's left of you? And what kind of relationship is that anyway? It's not built on genuine connection. It's built on a foundation of you faking it. That's not a recipe for long-term happiness. Stoicism isn't against compromise, but it's about understanding the difference between compromise and sacrifice. Compromise is finding a middle ground where both people are happy. Sacrifice is giving up something essential to yourself just to keep the peace. Here's a real-world example. Let's say you're a die-hard metalhead. You love going to concerts, wearing band shirts, and blasting loud music in your car. But your girlfriend hates metal, so you start hiding your band shirts, skipping concerts, and listening to pop music in the car. That's not compromise. That's sacrificing a part of yourself to appease her. A healthy relationship would involve her understanding and respecting your love for metal, even if she doesn't share it. Maybe you go to one metal concert a month, and she picks the music on road trips. It's also about not letting your relationship take over your entire life. Keep pursuing your hobbies, spending time with your friends, and working towards your goals. A relationship should enhance your life, not consume it. I've seen guys who, the moment they get a girlfriend, completely disappear from their friends' lives. They stop pursuing their hobbies. They lose their sense of self. A few months later, the relationship implodes, and they're left with nothing. That's why the video is so important. The best relationships are the ones where both people can be their authentic selves, where they can support each other's individual growth and freedom. Don't be afraid to be yourself, even if it means not always agreeing on everything. That's what makes things interesting. If she's truly interested in you, then there will be things about you that she isn't going to agree with. The question is, are you both willing to make some compromises? As the video says, relationships should not be about losing oneself, but rather about mutual growth, respect, and understanding, all of which are grounded in the freedom to be oneself. Principle number 2, neglecting your personal growth. Stay on your path. Next up, and this one's a biggie, neglecting your personal growth. The video really nails it with the analogy of being on a path. Your path and constantly stepping off it to walk someone else's. It's not just a detour, it's a diversion from your own development. The video uses the word Epicurus, which is correct. However, it would be remiss if I didn't include the name of the philosopher Epictetus to clear up any confusion. Think about it. You have goals, dreams, and aspirations. You're working toward becoming a better version of yourself. But then you meet someone, and suddenly all that gets put on hold. You start prioritizing their needs, their goals, their happiness above your own. You might start skipping gym sessions to spend more time with her, or stop working on your side hustle to be more available. You might even start questioning your career path because she doesn't approve of it. The video correctly states that Epicurus believed that this behavior is a misuse of our capacity for reason and neglect of our personal development. That's a recipe for resentment and unhappiness. Because here's the thing, you can't truly make someone else happy if you're not happy yourself. And you can't be happy if you're constantly sacrificing your own growth. Stoicism isn't about being selfish. It's about recognizing that taking care of yourself is essential for taking care of others. You can't pour from an empty cup. The video is correct when it states that by neglecting our personal growth, we're not just stalling on our path, we're also depriving our partners of the best version of ourselves. The best version of you is the you that is striving to be the best version of you. Here's a practical example. Let's say you're a writer. You've always dreamed of publishing a novel, but your girlfriend doesn't think writing is a real job. So you start doubting yourself and stop writing. That's a huge mistake. Not only are you giving up on your dream, but you're also becoming less interesting and less fulfilled as a person. A healthy relationship would involve her supporting your writing, even if she doesn't fully understand it. Maybe she reads your drafts and offers feedback, or gives you space to write in the evenings. The video reminds us that this is not a solitary pursuit, but one that enriches our interactions and relationships. Remember, your personal growth is a gift to yourself and to your partner. By becoming a better version of yourself, you're also becoming a better partner. So, don't neglect your own development. Stay on your path and encourage your partner to stay on theirs. That's how you build a relationship that truly flourishes. Principle number 3, suppressing your emotions. Honesty is the best policy, especially with yourself. Okay, next up, suppressing your emotions. The video's analogy of holding a beach ball underwater is spot on. The more you push it down, the more forcefully it's going to pop back up, often in unexpected ways. This is so true in relationships. When you bottle up your feelings, avoid conflict, and try to keep the peace at all costs, you're not actually resolving anything. You're just postponing the inevitable explosion. The video correctly identifies this is not the Stoic way. Stoics advocate for the acknowledgement, understanding, and management of them. I see this all the time. Guys who are afraid to express their needs, their frustrations, their sadness. They think it's weak to show emotion, or they're afraid of upsetting their partner. So, they keep everything bottled up inside. But here's the thing. Emotions are a natural part of being human. They're not something to be ashamed of or suppressed. They're signals that tell us what's important to us, what's working, and what's not working. Suppressing your emotions is like ignoring the warning lights on your car's dashboard. You might be able to drive for a while, but eventually something's going to break down. The video emphasizes that suppressing feelings is unhealthy and unsustainable, leading to a build-up of resentments. Stoicism isn't about being emotionless. It's about understanding and managing your emotions in a healthy way. It's about acknowledging your feelings, examining them with reason, and expressing them constructively. Here's a practical example. Let's say your girlfriend is always late. It frustrates you, but you don't say anything because you don't want to start a fight. So you just silently seethe every time she shows up late. That's not healthy. A Stoic approach would be to calmly and rationally explain to her how her lateness affects you. Hey, I understand that things happen, but when you're consistently late, it makes me feel like my time isn't valued. Can we work on being more punctual? Communication is key, and being honest with yourself is vital. That's a much more constructive way to deal with the situation than bottling up your anger and resentment. The video stresses that communication is a cornerstone of Stoicism, and that strength and self-awareness can be found in being honest with yourself and communicating your feelings openly. It's also about not being afraid to set boundaries. If something is bothering you, speak up. If you need some alone time, ask for it. Don't be afraid to express your needs and desires. Remember, a healthy relationship is one where both people feel safe and comfortable expressing their emotions honestly and respectfully. Suppressing your emotions is a recipe for disaster. Embrace them, understand them, and communicate them effectively. That's the Stoic way. Principle number 4. Losing your independence. Be a tree, not a vine. All right, let's talk about independence. The video brings up Seneca's wisdom. Don't let your happiness depend entirely on external factors, including relationships. The analogy of the tree is perfect. A tree can lean, enjoy the sun, and support other life, but its survival depends on its own roots. The video is correct when it says that if one tethers their happiness or self-worth to someone else, then one risks toppling over. I've seen so many people lose themselves in relationships, becoming completely dependent on their partner for their happiness and self-worth. It's like they've become vines, clinging to their partner for support. But here's the thing. That's not a healthy or sustainable way to live. It puts an enormous amount of pressure on your partner, and it leaves you vulnerable if the relationship ends. The video is keen to stress that cultivating independence is not about isolating ourselves. Stoicism isn't about isolating yourself or avoiding emotional connections. It's about building a strong foundation within yourself so that your relationships become sources of joy and growth rather than crutches or cages. This means engaging deeply with your interests, pursuing your goals, and cultivating a sense of self that is resilient in the face of life's inevitable changes and challenges. The video makes sure to say it is about building foundations so strong within ourselves that our relationships become sources of joy. Here's a practical example. Let's say you're a passionate musician. You love playing guitar and writing songs, but your girlfriend doesn't appreciate your music. So you start playing less and less, eventually giving it up altogether. That's a huge mistake. Not only are you sacrificing your passion, but you're also becoming less interesting and less fulfilled as a person. A healthy relationship would involve her supporting your music, even if she doesn't fully understand it. Maybe she comes to your gigs or listens to your songs and offers feedback. The video says that being content is a journey, one that requires introspection, honesty, and sometimes the courage to face our own shadows. It's also about having your own friends and activities outside of the relationship. Don't become completely enmeshed with your partner. Maintain your own identity and individuality. Remember, a healthy relationship is one where both people can be independent and interdependent. You support each other, but you don't depend on each other for your entire happiness and self-worth. Be a tree, not a vine. Stand on your own 2 feet, and let your relationship be a source of mutual support and growth. Principle number 5. Committing something to please her. Don't betray yourself. All right, let's talk about commitment. The video raises a great point. What happens when you're asked to do something that clashes with your core beliefs or personal interests? The example of pretending to enjoy a hobby is spot on. However, it doesn't explore more complex examples of the problems this could cause. The video is keen to stress that Stoicism values living in accordance with nature, and this means being aware of your likes, dislikes, and values. How often do we find ourselves doing things we don't actually want to do, just to please someone else? Maybe it's going to a party you know you'll hate, or pretending to be interested in a topic that bores you to tears. Maybe it's even compromising your values or ethics to align with your partner's views. The video is correct to state that when one strays from this path, they lose our authenticity, but also erode the foundation of trust and respect in the relationship. I've seen people make major life decisions just to appease their partners, even when it goes against their own desires and aspirations. Maybe it's moving to a city they hate or taking a job they don't want. But here's the thing. That's a recipe for resentment and unhappiness. When you betray yourself, you're not only hurting yourself, you're also hurting the relationship, because eventually the resentment will start to surface and it will erode the bond between you and your partner. The video refers to an inner fortress when discussing committing something to please her. The fortress must be protected from those that would seek to take it from you. Stoicism isn't about being rigid or inflexible. It's about having a clear understanding of your own values and principles and refusing to compromise them for temporary affection or approval. Here's a practical example. Let's say you're a vegetarian. You believe that eating meat is unethical and harmful to the environment. But your girlfriend loves meat, and she pressures you to eat it when you go out to dinner. The video is keen to state that the Stoic approach isn't one of rigidity, but of profound self-awareness. That's a situation where you need to stand your ground. Explain to her why you're a vegetarian and ask her to respect your choices. A healthy relationship would involve her accepting your vegetarianism, even if she doesn't share it. Maybe you compromise by going to vegetarian-friendly restaurants or cooking vegetarian meals at home. Remember, true connections are formed through mutual respect and understanding, not through self-betrayal. The video says to ask yourself, is this action in harmony with my true self? And if not, then there's a call to reflect. Don't be afraid to stand up for what you believe in, even if it means disagreeing with your partner. Authenticity is attractive. People are drawn to those who are true to themselves, who have the courage to live in accordance with their values. So, don't commit something to please her that goes against your own principles. Stay true to yourself and let your authenticity shine. Principle number 6, ignoring reason for passion. Steer with your head, not just your heart. Finally, let's talk about passion and reason. The video's analogy of the voyage is brilliant. Passion is the wind in your sails, but reason is the rudder that keeps you from crashing into the rocks. The video correctly identifies that Epicurus taught that we should not be slaves to our impulses but masters of them, steering our lives with wisdom and foresight. How often do we let our emotions cloud our judgment, making decisions that we later regret? Maybe it's jumping into a relationship too quickly or ignoring red flags because you're blinded by lust. Maybe it's making rash decisions in the heat of an argument or saying things you don't mean. The video suggests that when blinded by passion, the wise Stoic reminds us that reason should be the lens through which we examine our feelings. I've seen so many people make terrible decisions because they let their passions override their reason. They ignore their gut instincts, they disregard the advice of their friends and family, and they end up paying the price. Stoicism isn't about suppressing your emotions or denying your desires. It's about understanding them, questioning them, and aligning them with your deeper values and goals. The video is correct when it says that the Stoic principle doesn't just apply to conflicts or decisions, but to the daily choices we make in our relationships. Here's a practical example. Let's say you're madly in love with someone, but they have a history of cheating and lying. Your friends and family are warning you to stay away, but you're convinced that they've changed. That's a situation where you need to engage your reason. Step back from your emotions and objectively assess the situation. Look at the facts, listen to the advice of trusted friends and family, and ask yourself if this is really a healthy and sustainable relationship. The video is keen to stress showing patience instead of frustration and seeking understanding before making assumptions. Remember, passion is a powerful force, but it can also be blinding. Don't let it lead you astray. Use your reason to guide your actions and make sure that your decisions are aligned with your values and your long-term goals. Steer with your head, not just your heart. That's the Stoic way to navigate the complexities of relationships. Key takeaways: be a grounded, self-respecting human being. All right, that was a lot. We covered 6 Stoic principles that can seriously level up your relationships. Personal freedom: don't sacrifice your autonomy for approval. Personal growth: stay on your path and encourage your partner to stay on theirs. Emotional honesty: don't suppress your emotions. Understand them and communicate them effectively. Independence: be a tree, not a vine. Build a strong foundation within yourself. Commitment to self: don't betray yourself. Stay true to your values and principles. Reason over passion: steer with your head, not just your heart. The most important thing to remember is that Stoicism isn't about being some emotionless robot. It's about being a grounded, self-respecting human being who knows his worth and lives in accordance with his values. It's about building relationships based on mutual respect, understanding, and authenticity. It's about taking responsibility for your own happiness and well-being, and not relying on others to fill your voids. The video ends encouraging people to like, share, and subscribe. I would like to add to that by encouraging people to use the tips to better themselves and better their lives. It's a journey, not a destination. There will be times when you slip up, when you let your emotions get the best of you, or when you compromise your values. But don't beat yourself up about it. Just learn from your mistakes and keep striving to be a better version of yourself. And remember, you are worthy of love and respect, just as you are. Don't settle for anything less. Be true to yourself, be kind to others, and live in accordance with your values. That's the Stoic way to live a fulfilling and meaningful life.